Let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins because right now the Miami Dolphins are in a bit of a murky situation with Tua Tagovailoa. Now look, Tua is not a bad quarterback at all. When you look at his numbers, you'll say, hey, this guy deserves to be paid like a top 5 quarterback. 4,624 passing yards, 29 passing touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Those are top quarterback numbers. But let's go back a couple of years ago when they had Brian Flores as the head coach. He did Tua no favors. It seemed like he hated Tua on the low, but instead they fired him. They went with the quarterback, and I love that move. Brian Flores, a very good defensive coordinator, was not ready to be a head coach. Why do I bring that up? Because they brought in a very good play caller in Mike McDaniel, and he's brought some of that over to the Miami Dolphins. But they also went out there, they traded for Tyreek Hill. They drafted Jalen Waddle. You got Raheem Mostert. You drafted Devon Achane. You bring in Teron Armstead. They went and traded a first-round pick, which was too rich for me. You can go back and listen to the video at the time to go get Bradley Chubb. But Bradley Chubb is a very good defensive player. They were loading this roster up because Tua was on that rookie contract still. And they could do that because you're not paying Tua Tagovailoa top quarterback money. They have not been able to win a playoff game with this current roster. And you saw the weaknesses this season. Yes, Tua had great numbers. But against teams that did not have a winning record, they were 10-1 as a team. That's not just only on Tua Tagovailoa. They were 10-1. Those are good numbers. Tua Tagovailoa had 22 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions against teams that did not have a winning record. They averaged 35 points a game. I will say this, the 35 points a game are a bit inflated because they scored 70+ against the Denver Broncos early in the season. Against teams that had a winning record, 1-6, Tua Tagovailoa had 8 passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and they averaged 16 points a game with talent like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, and Raheem Mostert. Granted, Devon Achane missed a lot of time this season dealing with a knee injury, but before he had that knee injury, he was averaging over 10 yards a carry, which is crazy, and he still had great numbers on the season. And the same with Raheem Mostert. He led the league in rushing touchdowns. Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins against teams that have made the playoffs in the last 2 years. They are 3-12. Granted, they have missed a lot of players for this season. A lot of players missed time. Connor Williams missed some time this season. The offensive line did not look the same when he went down. Teron Armstead did miss some time as well, but he's still a very good tackle to have to protect Tua. And Tyreek Hill did miss some time when he went against the Tennessee Titans. He hurt his ankle, but you still had Jalen Waddle holding things down. This is the argument that they run into right now. If you pay Tua Tagovailoa a lot of money, you can't keep these guys around forever. You may not be able to keep guys like Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb around. And that's part of the reason why they drafted Chop Robinson in the first round. Regardless, those guys are going to miss some of this upcoming season. I'll get more into defense in just a couple minutes. But you can't go out there and pay Tua Tagovailoa top 5 quarterback money. You just can't. I think that the Miami Dolphins will, and that's going to be a huge mistake. This is a quarterback in the past that has suffered injuries. Now, this season, he did not get injured. He was able to stay fully healthy. That's good on Tua. He wanted to go out there and bulk up. There are reports that he's trying to lose weight right now because he wants to go out there and move around more inside the pocket. The thing is this with Tua. He would never be able to be the quarterback that he once was a couple of years ago at Alabama. And it's not because the NFL is just drastically different. That's part of it. But it's also this. He suffered a brutal hip injury that most players don't come back from. So he was able to come back from that hip injury that he suffered in college. And the deep ball has never been the same. They can't fully maximize their offense right now with Tua at the helm. Why does Mike McDaniel call so many screens? Have you seen Tua try to throw the football consistently deep down the field for 40 to 50 yards in inclement weather? When it's raining, when it's snow, he can't do it. And not too many quarterbacks can. But especially Tua. And he already doesn't have a strong arm. Now, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Great numbers. But against winning teams and top 5 to top 10 defenses, he's not the same. He folds up like a lawn chair. He's not the same quarterback. Look at what the Buffalo Bills did to him this season when they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Look at what the Baltimore Ravens did this season as well. Tua's not the guy to go out there and carry this team over the hump. I do not believe that they can win a Super Bowl with Tua Tagovailoa. Because the AFC is that tough, but at the same time, Tua has benefited a lot from being in a great system. Most quarterbacks would kill to be in this system. He is not in the same conversation with guys like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, Josh Allen. He's not in the same conversation with those guys, but he is talented. That's why it's a tricky situation for the Dolphins. This is a guy that you can make the argument is a true franchise quarterback. Sure, he is. But the numbers don't lie. When you go against teams that have a winning record, you're not supposed to be 1-6 with the weapons that you do have. And 8 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions, that is horrible. No matter who the quarterback is, especially for a quarterback like Tua, because he's better than that. And I always go back to this play right here because I'm showing a lot of highlights as well. I just want to zone in on this one play because they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs not once, but twice. They lost to him in the regular season, and they lost to him in the playoffs as well. Now, in the regular season, they were playing in Germany. Tyreek Hill had a major fumble, and it went for basically a fumble for 6. That wasn't on Tua. That was just a bad play on Tyreek Hill, but it happens. But this play right here is a complete, huge mental error by Tua Tagovailoa. They're going against the Buffalo Bills. The division is on the line because they've lost so many games in a row, and they had a huge lead on the Buffalo Bills this season in terms of winning the division. This is for all the marbles right here. You don't have to go on the road to face the Kansas City Chiefs if you win this game in the 4th coldest game in NFL history. But instead, Tua Tagovailoa is zoned in on Chase Claypool, who is running a corner route. He doesn't see the back safety. It goes for an interception. Tua is better than that. But instead, he did not read anyone else on the offensive sets. You have number 81 wide open in front of you that's running a slant. He doesn't see him. He completely zones in on Chase Claypool, who is a guy that's not a top 1, not in the top 2 or 3 wide receiver with the Dolphins. And he just throws him the football because Tyreek Hill's out of the game. And that play right there made the Kansas City Chiefs have to go out there and face the Miami Dolphins, but the Dolphins had to travel on the road, a team that was already dealing with so many injuries. Injuries played a huge part to why this team was not as successful, but don't get it twisted. Tua Tagovailoa is not this quarterback that the national media say that he is. Very good. A guy that can go out there and put the football where it needs to be, benefits a lot from the system, but he's not going to carry this team over the top. And I don't want to hear the excuses anymore with Tua. Early on in his career, he did not have the weapons. He did not have the head coach. Brian Flores was against him. But Mike McDaniel has showed this man nothing but love. And this is a guy that suffered some concussion injuries in the past. A year ago against Cincinnati Bengals, he completely blacked out on the field and they had to stretcher him out. And I'm happy that he is okay. So I understand from his standpoint, he wants to get paid. He wants to lock down that financial security. And I would want to do the same. But Tua has to be realistic here. Tua's not going to go out there and get paid like the same guys, like a Jared Goff, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow, because they have accomplished more in the postseason than he has. And the same can go with Kyler Murray as well. He's never won a playoff game. His contract is in question as well, to why he's getting paid so much. But that is just how today's game is with quarterbacks. They pay these guys at a premium, but it's going to come at a cost. You can't keep certain guys around if you do that. And it's part of the reason why Robert Hunt is no longer with the Miami Dolphins. He is now with the Carolina Panthers because they paid him over $100 million in fully guaranteed money, which is crazy. They couldn't go out there and do this because they put all their eggs in a basket a couple of years ago. When they made a trade to go out there and get Jalen Ramsey, they're basically pushing everything into this roster, and they don't have a single playoff win to show for it, which is sad. And it's hard to continue to go out there and take up for Tua because you have Raheem Mostert, who led the league in rushing touchdowns with 18 rushing touchdowns on the season. You have a video game type of player in Devon Achane who averaged 8 yards a carry, 8 rushing touchdowns, and 800 rushing yards on the season. You have Tyreek Hill, who is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL today. 1,799 receiving yards, 13 receiving touchdowns. You have Jalen Waddle, who is also a very good number 2 to have. One of the best number 2 wide receivers in the NFL. 1,014 receiving yards on the season, 4 receiving touchdowns. They can stretch the field. But at certain points in times where Tua just cannot get them the football and they're wide open. Now, the offensive line has been a major question mark since Tua stepped down with the team since they drafted him in the first round. I'm not arguing that, but they've tried to make moves by going out there and getting Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead is still a very good tackle. He is getting older, so his body isn't holding up like how it used to, but he's still a very good tackle to have with the Miami Dolphins when he's fully healthy. You have Austin Jackson at the right tackle position. They drafted Patrick Paul in the second round. He could come in and he could be the long-term replacement for Teron Armstead. Or if Austin Jackson is not the same tackle that you're expecting for him to be, you could put Patrick Paul at the right tackle position. I'm worried about having Isaiah Wynn at the guard position. Granted, he's a better guard than he was a tackle for the New England Patriots, but he is still a bust at the end of the day. Connor Williams is still a free agent. I understand that he's dealt with so many injuries, but you could possibly try to bring him back as well because he was so good at the interior lineman spot. Granted, the offense did not look the same when he went down. And the thing is with him, he was one of the best pass protecting offensive linemen with the Miami Dolphins. So I fully understand that. I could put that excuse out there for Tua. But if you want to be paid like a franchise quarterback, you have to overcome these things. Look at Josh Allen. He had to overcome bad play calling. He had to overcome lack of talent at the time. The same with Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff as well. And like I mentioned before, those quarterbacks have accomplished more in the postseason than Tua Tagovailoa has so far in his career. And you look at the defense. Now, they went out there and they parted ways with Coach Vic. He's now the defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. The players did not like Coach Vic. But Coach Vic coached up a very good defense last season with the Miami Dolphins because they dealt with so many injuries. And I want to go back to a game earlier in the season. Well, later in the season. It was the Baltimore Ravens going against the Miami Dolphins. They completely blew them out. What a shocker. A team with a winning record blows out the Miami Dolphins. Why is Bradley Chubb still in the game? Now, that's on Coach Mike because he tears his ACL late in the game. One of the best pass rushers with the Miami Dolphins. And you needed pass rushing help. You really did. And this man goes out there and he tears his ACL. And Bradley Chubb just got a contract extension with the Dolphins as well. He had 11 sacks from the season and 6 forced fumbles. That was tied for first in forced fumbles in the NFL before he tore his ACL. This is his second time tearing his ACL, by the way. He tore his ACL a couple of years ago with the Denver Broncos, and he came back looking like a beast. We will see, and I hope that is the case. He may miss some time for this upcoming season. Jalen Phillips is a guy that suffered a lot of injuries in college, concussion injuries. He tears his Achilles against the New York Jets late in the season. Very good pass rusher as well. So I see why they drafted Chop Robinson in the first round. And 6.5 sacks and 1 interception, by the way, for Jalen Phillips. Chop Robinson right now may not be able to go out there and give you everything that you want in a true franchise pass rusher. But I think that over time, he will develop into being a very good pass rusher. And you may be able to move off of a guy like Bradley Chubb or Jalen Phillips. But right now, they're going to ask a lot out of this kid. And it's going to be unfair to him, especially if Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb, if they're going to miss a lot of time. They did go out there and they did bring in some brand new linebackers as well. I think Jordan Brooks is going to be a very good player if he can stay healthy. Has dealt with ankle injuries over the last couple of years, but 62 solo tackles on the season, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. They cut Xavier Howard. He wasn't able to stay healthy, and he was not the same corner when he was on the field. You bring in Kendall Fuller. He's a very good corner to have. And Jalen Ramsey is not slowing up. He is still a very good cornerback as well. 3 interceptions on the season, 5 pass deflections, and the best player in the secondary to me is Javon Holland at the safety position. 52 solo tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 4 pass deflections. He is phenomenal. And the rest of the defensive line, they can go out there and stop the run. But it's going to come down to the play calling of their brand new defensive play caller and Anthony Weaver, who was a former player for the Miami Dolphins. I believe this with Anthony Weaver. He had such a huge influence on the Baltimore Ravens this season, just from a linebacker standpoint, from a tackling standpoint. He did not go out there and just call plays necessarily, but he was the assistant head coach and defensive lines coach. He may not bring the same intensity as a Coach Vic, but he's going to go out there and put the players in the best situation. So I expect for the defense to still be very good, even with Coach Vic being gone. I'm not going to come on here and say, well, their defense is going to take a massive drop because Coach Vic isn't here. Vic did some good things, but I believe Anthony Weaver would be just as good, if not better, long term, especially if the players did not like Coach Vic and it seemed like they were ready to go out there and throw a parade because Coach Vic was no longer in that building. The thing is with the Miami Dolphins, they have good talent. They have to be able to just go out there and beat teams with a winning record. And they have to be able to go out there and get a playoff win. It's been too long for the Miami Dolphins franchise. But you can't be 3-12 against teams that have made the playoffs in the last 2 years and justify giving Tua Tagovailoa a lot of money up front. And it's not all on Tua. It's on the coaching as well from Coach Mike and the injuries. But this team, they put a lot of resources into this organization so far, and they have not been rewarded with it. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins? And should they pay Tua Tagovailoa top quarterback money? Because if they do pay him, he's going to be paid like a top 5 quarterback. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.